Okay, that is fun. That time the recording just stops for no reason. Anyway, Deku and Momo, because I just specified this, whenever we last left off, Deku would have taught Momo how to create miniature warheads, and my reasoning behind her being able to make these is that we don't exactly know what year My Hero Academia takes place, but they said if it probably wasn't for quirks, they would have had a colony on the moon. So they're somewhat around 200 to 300 years later into our future. And it's bad because quirks actually could become. That was my closet door. Quirks could actually become something that manifests in real life. And that's still a crazy concept to certain people. Because we don't know what the next step in human evolution could be. Ah, I love that I'm getting sick while recording. Ah, that sucked. Anyway, for the next 2 weeks, let's say Deku would have created a file of a lot of different things since she met Momo that he would have asked questions for her to make because over the 10 months they would have been studying certain things. Deku would have asked his mom to help him put certain things together and explain certain things. She would be very happy she can spend time with Deku and actually something very interesting. So he'd have an entire folder that he still has not gone through yet or shown Momo. So he would explain to her over the next 2 weeks that he essentially has created a file of real life things he thinks she could make with her quirk, and that the nuclear warheads, the tiny nuclear warheads in that whole launcher system, was just one of the things he thought of. Momo would kind of be really afraid to try out some of these concepts because of how powerful that one thing was, because she realizes just how dangerous her quirk could be if she was a villain. Now, Deku would reassure her that she's not going to be a villain, because if she was to become a villain, he'd have to be her knight in shining armor and pull her back from the dark. Momo would blush at this, and Deku would just kind of laugh a bit. And now then, let's see. Momo would have created. She knows how to create flashbangs already, so let's go with hand grenades. She would have created hand grenades and stuff like that, and Deku would. He can hear the sound reverberate from the grenade, so he'd ask her if she's ever heard of a holy hand grenade. Momo doesn't really understand the whole concept of this because she's probably been sheltered from video games and certain things like that. He would explain that a holy hand grenade has compacted gunpowder in it, because I don't exactly know what it is, but he'd explain what's in it and the chemical composition of it, because he would have looked it up or been able to learn different ways they smell. She would create a holy hand grenade. Deku would charge up one for all and toss it, and the explosion will probably be 5 times bigger. And Momo would be amazed that Deku would have known how to do all these different things or make. He would have put together all these crazy, insanely strong concepts for her to use. So the next 2 weeks they would be going over that and certain things. One of the things she did try and create was an actual lightsaber, because Deku would have explained what one of them were, because one of his friends watched a movie and he saw. Well, he basically explained how it was a. Okay, there's gonna be a weird cut there. The reason why is my phone went dark and I was actually able to save the recording before that happened. But anyway, one of the things that she would have learned from Deku is about a lightsaber. It's actually a saber made of light, a glorified laser pointer that uses a crystal to basically be powerful. Momo would be intrigued by this and actually try creating one. She's got a glorified laser, but she would also try and think about different chemical compounds and how this light prism would actually work. That would probably be one of her main focuses, and that's probably harder for her to do. So her butler and probably a bunch of other different type of people would actually be helping them because they'd be bringing out certain foods that were probably very fattening and actually give them. They'd be sitting at a dining table and actually participating with all the stuff going on. Deku and Momo would be sitting there as they're bringing out certain foods, and Momo would be eating some of them and actually trying to create some of the stuff. She would have eventually learned that if she uses the light prism in a gun, she can actually create plasma guns, and that would really, really like she'd be really happy about that because now she can essentially actually use them somewhat and like stun people because these are basically a glorified electric taser with no limit to its range. Now then, he would have also told her about like Excalibur, a bunch of other stuff like that, a bunch of fictional stuff that can be actually created, and even about Iron Man's plasma weapons and his boots. But he would say that those things might be harder because the fictional stuff they're based off of is not real. Huh? Oh, my phone buzzed. Neat. I'll check that later. But now, after that, they would begin to. They would go after the 2 weeks. I'm skipping a lot of their training. That is water on my phone, or is that spit? I'm pretty sure that was spit. Okay. Yeah, that is. That was spit. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm kind of getting sick as I'm recording. I've been getting sick all week. Ugh. I actually cannot breathe out of my nose because it's stuffed. Also, back to it. Now, over these past 2 weeks, they have been training, doing a bunch of stuff like that. Deku's actually been doing a lot of combat. Actually, no. Momo's been creating heavier and heavier weights for Deku to use, and actually suggested he use like essentially a weight suit. He would do this and find it very difficult, but he would actually appreciate the effort Momo was putting in with her quirk to help him. And she would probably put Deku in a, let's see, 25% of one for all might strength over. I know you have to go over 1,000 miles per hour to break the sound barrier, so you probably have to do that 1,000 pounds. You probably have to like throw a punch worth like 1,000 pounds of effort, or over 2,000 to actually break the sound barrier. So let's say that this weight suit is actually around 2,000 to 2,500 pounds, or it's actually 300,000 pounds. And Deku's using around 25% of one for all, and he could essentially he's able to walk around, but every time he does walk around, certain areas will actually like leave indents very deep of where he was. But he'd be moving around and doing all this. But actually, no, let's retcon that. She'd be going over the file inside while he's doing this outside. Eventually, he'll power up one for all more and more and more and find it a bit easier to move. And at the end of the 2 weeks, Momo and Deku are very powerful because whenever Deku, whenever Momo would come outside and tell Deku that she's done going over everything, Deku would come down. He would land probably 15 to 20 feet in front of her and create a crater. And when he landed, he would get up and just say that that's great and amazing because some of that stuff he wasn't sure about, but he put it in there just in case. Now, a brief reminder. All Might, he can throw punches and sound waves strong enough to change the weather. Doing that is very, very powerful and requires a lot of strength. Even doing half of that, even going at 50%, that's still pretty powerful. And I don't know how much All Might can actually lift, but let's say it's somewhere over 20 tons. Deku's probably doing around a lot of that, but he'd probably be up to around 50% of One for All comfortably to 60%. Let's say 55 comfortably, and he's able to go up to 70 to 75 whenever it does start hurting his muscles and would actually leave him very, very sore for a while. That's the point where he's at. So him and Momo would go to UA and actually start the whole thing with everyone. Now then it would all start and Deku would blast away Todoroki's ice and start flying away. Well, not flying away, but he would start running and is at 50% to 60%. President Mike would comment on how Deku's the fastest he's ever seen. Aizawa would say that he has two quirks and is actually almost around All Might level. Oh crap, the speech. Deku would do his speech like I did in the other one, but he would say this. He would walk on stage with a walking cane and everyone would be kind of confused. Because it's exactly like how Matt Murdock's is. He would state that, "Hello everyone, my name is Izuku Midoriya. And if you are all confused by why I just walked on stage with a cane, that is because legally my quirk makes me blind. But I can see like a bat and my quirk enhances my physical body and all my senses. Except I cannot see. Right now what I see is he would move his cane over his shoulder and point at someone. That guy over there is drinking a cranberry soda. That person over there is eating a cinnamon roll. That person over there is eating a churro. That person is eating a hot dog. And he would then point up to the announcer box saying that President Mike actually is drinking a Sprite cranberry. I'm sorry for those of you who understand what that means. President Mike would be impressed because he basically has an all-around enhancement quirk. And Deku would say that his quirk, he has been ridiculed for it because in the last year he barely discovered the enhancement part of it after encountering a villain and being saved by a hero. Because he was only using it to. His quirk, basically, part of it was always left on, but he had to turn on the emitter part of it to use it properly, the way he is going to use it in the sports festival. Now, after that, Deku would walk off stage and begin the whole thing. Deku would come in first because he's half of All Might's speed. All Might was able to cross 5 miles in less than 5 seconds. He's gonna win for sure. And that was only at 70%. So he's gonna be there for like immediately almost be there at the finish line. As Aizawa would be impressed saying that that's actually the fastest he's seen him run. And then Momo would actually, yeah, that could work. Momo would create Iron Man boots and repulsor gloves like Iron Man's Mark 80 because she can create the nanobots directly out of her skin. She would do that and she would begin flying to Deku or flying toward the finish line. And after doing this, if you're wondering how she's powering it, she's essentially she created a giant like battery on her back and connected wires over her skin to these gloves and repulsors, and everyone's commenting on how is she doing that? She's actually flying. Deku would say, "Oh, she found the Iron Man material," and Momo would have trouble with this, so she actually would create a pair of goggles on her face to see properly, and she'd come in second, and Todoroki and Bakugo would tie for third. The cavalry battle would go differently because hmm, Deku and Momo are on a team. Mei Hatsume would run over to Momo and ask her over and over again, what was that? What was that? I'm very interested to find out. Please, please, please tell me. Because she's that crazy adventurer like Iron Man. And now, for this. Let's see. Monetta's expelled, so the Big Hands girl would actually be on Deku's team. A lot of guys will be jealous, saying that Deku basically has a harem over there. Deku would look over and just like shake his head, no. No. Kaminari would say, crap, I forget his quirk does that. I forget he could hear me. Because Deku doesn't really show this off a lot. Now, yeah, I can cut that 4 minutes together with this. So that's at 16, basically. After that, they would all begin doing the whole thing. Deku is actually he is one of the horses, and Momo's actually one of the, not one, she's the rider, so she has the headband on. Now, she actually does wear her hair down, because the way her ponytail was up, she didn't. After she met Deku, she realized that keeping it down is actually more of a way for martial artists, because having that bun would actually like discomfort them, and she got used to it, so she just stopped doing it because she didn't like that. She would always constantly after training have to redo it, so she just stopped. So she doesn't have that signature hair like in the anime. Speaking of hair, there's one on my phone that I just blew away. Now, she would be doing this. She'd be fighting with everyone, and she'd be she would be sending plasma shots at everyone, doing all this, firing like different plasma guns, stunning a lot of people. She would take down the French guy and um who was all in the tournament bracket? I'll figure that out. Ow. Ow. God. Sore throat. That's fun. Ugh. Anyway, now then, Deku's team would come in first for this part because Deku he would have had the armband wrapped around. Well, Momo would have wrapped it around her like the back of her knee, like right here, so that it's harder for everyone to grab because the way she's flying around. And after right as President Mike would talk about how this is basically almost over, Momo would begin to fall because she was actually probably 20 feet in the air trying to fight for Bakugo's headband or Todoroki's. And one thing that happened was Monoma tried copying Deku's quirk. As soon as Monoma slapped Deku's, well, Deku was trying to like help Momo defend her because he kind of was told what the Monoma's quirk was. He can copy quirks. Okay, my nose is stuffed. Okay, okay, I can work with this. Uh, he was told that Monoma can copy quirks, and he doesn't really know what would happen if he copies Momo's. So Deku would try and smack one of his hands away, right before he grabs Momo, trying to steal one of her headbands. And whenever he does this, Momo would actually he would fall to the ground, being declared out, and he would start screaming and panicking. Cut, and everyone would have to stop for a second and watch, as he basically would say, "He's blind. He's blind. What did you do to me? What did you do to me?" And Deku would say that instead of copying her quirk, you copied mine. This is how, and he would explain that this is how he sees everything. Then he would clap his hands, and Momo would pass out. And if you're wondering by clap his hands, I'm talking he would charge one for all up and smash his hands together into a shockwave. Why would he do this? Because you forget, his quirk amplifies his hearing, his smell, and everything. Deku's had time to process all this. Someone who sees the world regularly doesn't. And this is why he's called the man without fear. Because at the age of 7, this happened to him and he got used to it. He was scared, but he essentially got numb to it. Now, Monomo would essentially go to Recover Girl's office, stuff like that, and he would kind of respect Deku because this, the way he saw everything and heard everything for those 5 seconds, Deku's like that all the time, and it doesn't drive him insane. Now then, Deku. Let's see, the French guy's out. Monomo's team's out. So basically, most of Class 1A is in the bracket. The Okay, let's see. Hmm. I'm gonna have to cut these together and figure out the battle because I still need to look at this and cut this part together through the parts. So have a good day, guys, and I will try. I will try and get that other part uploaded. Jesus, I love that my nose is doing.